Hello and welcome to the Pens and Pixels Popcast episode 88. And I'm here with the most Canadian man on Twitch, Geekseh.
Oh, what you talking about?
What you talking about, eh?
Oh, you go take off now, eh, hoser?
Hoser. As you can hear, Mike isn't with us today. He couldn't be here. He misscheduled. He told me 3 weeks ago that he was totally available this weekend to record. Turns out on Wednesday he was like, actually, not so available. So Geekseh is very, very kindly filling in. If you don't know, Geekseh is a Twitch streamer. He's part of the Popcast family. He's been on before. We actually interviewed him, so you can go back 20 episodes now and go check that out if you want. But we're here today to bring you the newsy news, as you need to know, as per usual.
The newsy news?
The
you
newsiest
just told
news.
Me the news. Oh, it's
No. This is the newsiest news. Actually, I'm gonna level with the audience. This week's in news is as Geekseh pointed out to me earlier, a little negative and also a little light on the news this week. So we had to scrape the bottom of the barrel.
It's going to be good though. It's going to be good. We're still going to have fun, guys. I'm excited. That's all I got.
Okay, so let's get right into the newsy news. With a the first story, honestly, is just about trash people. And I bring it up on this podcast a lot, and it's just something that I just cannot wrap my head around. So I'm going to go over the history of this news story a little bit first. If you don't know, Flo Steinberg died. I believe it was last week.
Who's Flo Steinberg? Please tell me.
So Flo Steinberg was Stan Lee, the head of Marvel. It was his secretary back in the 60s. And she became kind of like a jack of all trades a little bit. Like, she was his secretary, but she also answered fan mail. She gave the artists deadlines and all this kind of stuff. And she's just kind of somewhat of a legend in the Marvel history. So she passed away, and one of the new editors in this generation, Heather Antos, an editor for Marvel Comics, just did a little tribute, to Flo Steinberg on Twitter. She posted, it's the Marvel Milkshake crew, because she loved milkshakes, and hashtag Fabulous Flo. And for some reason, the internet,
what do you mean some reason? Some reason? It's the internet, of course.
Yeah. A bunch of women paying tribute to another woman just fucking angered a bunch of idiots, and they just jumped all over about social justice warriors and feminism ruining everything, and I cannot comprehend it.
It's something that you think isn't around nowadays. You're like, it's 2017. This stuff can't possibly happen anymore. But it happens more and more. It happens more and more.
It does, and it happens about always the most ridiculous things. I almost, not to say I understand it, but when a female is the main character of a game, people lose their minds. They're like, oh my god, I can't relate to fucking Lara Croft or whatever it is. You're pushing your social justice warrior agenda by including a female. I almost understand that to an extent because it's new and people are scared and, whatever. There are way more female characters now in games than we ever had before. There's almost there's a reason. The catalyst for this outrage is fucking nothing. A bunch of women just posted a selfie in tribute to someone who passed away. There was no agenda to it. I don't even know how these people got from one side of their brain to another. You know what I mean?
They were just seeing it. The people that are outraged are seeing it like they're trying to be social justice warriors, but they're not. They're just being nice. They're just having a nice picture taken, and people are having a friggin' meltdown. My favorite one is he talks about, can we get off feminism and social justice and actually print stories? God, DC looks better and better. No, it doesn't. Okay, let's just start with the only thing good is Batman, and the new series is okay, but let's just start off by saying Marvel's still king. Okay, it'll always will be.
Absolutely.
But just to start freaking out about them not doing their jobs because they took a 2-minute photo is ridiculous. Yeah. Is ridiculous.
I have such a hard time wrapping my head around these stories in general, and this one just takes it to a whole new level of women exist and I'm pissed. I cannot understand it for the life of me.
But you know what? Also, I haven't looked, but I'm sure whoever this person is probably has hundreds of thousands of followers. And it's just I'm going to relate it to Twitch. Just like Twitch, they have millions of people that can talk and just go into any room. And there's just assholes out there. You know what I mean?
Totally.
They just want to be assholes. But the fact that people think that this is fine nowadays, I get where people are thinking maybe social justice is getting too extreme. I totally get that. Some things are just like, okay, I get it, but like this is nothing. This is nothing.
It's nothing.
It's a
nothing.
picture. It's a very nice picture of 7, 8 young ladies that are just having milkshakes and trying to have a nice picture. And now their whole week, maybe month is ruined because of course they're going to look at the comments. You know what I mean? they're gonna get death threats, rape threats, whatever else, just for existing in this world. Like it's absolutely unacceptable.
Do you think that like this happens a lot more in geek culture than anything else? Like I'm prominently in geek culture. I see a lot of conversations going around, and I see this kind of shit all the time. But does this happen like with, I don't know, the comments on ESPN or something?
Well, I think it does because I think it's in every, like the problem with sports, say, is most of them are mainstream focused men's sports, right? So it's hard. The only time you hear about it is when there's a woman reporter or, you know what I mean? Like an interviewer, and they, you know, might say something wrong or something. People will jump on them 10 times harder than they would if it was a male that made a mistake. Sorry, guys. I'm really out of it right now. I'm not going to lie to you right now. Sorry. I slept in my car last night. Long story short, was at a wedding, but we got this. Don't worry. Hold on. Geekseh's here.
Wait, you slept in your car?
Okay, so I'll tell the quick story. Quick version.
Do it up.
I was going to a friend's wedding that I play hockey with. Of course I play hockey because I'm Canadian, right, guys? So, good friend of mine that I play hockey with invited me to him and his wife's wedding. I said, okay. And they're like, it's 2 hours outside of town. I said, okay, no problem. They're like, you have to camp. I said, I don't like camping. I'm not, you know,
maybe
what,
a
guys?
problem.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I know who I am. You know, I'm old enough now to know camping's not my shtick. I'm a city boy. You know, I'm always thinking, what's the Wi-Fi in the forest? Is it tree, or just tree? So they said take a right after the city outside of my city, hour away. Sorry. Oh man, see that's how gone I am. Okay, so an hour away, you take a right, and then you just go straight, and then you'll hit a dirt road, and then you go 31 kilometers down this dirt road. What they didn't tell you was you go straight until you think you hit the end of the world, and then keep going because it was so far down this road until I hit this dirt road. And then I finally hit this dirt road, and it was scary, this dirt road. I felt bad for my car. I felt really bad for my car.
Did it look like something at a wrong turn?
Yeah, and it had a whole bunch of, like, you know when people are doing corners and they're going too fast and they put on their brakes, so now the turn or whatever has that, like, washboard kind of bumps on it?
Yep.
That's all it was for 31K.
Oh my god.
So I get to this wedding. I'm having fun. I'm not a huge drinker anymore, but you know, like we do. We like the occasional wobbly pop here and there. So I had a couple of wobbly pops. But you know, by 7:00, I was done eating. I kind of switched to water and some juice, and I didn't want to do this dirt road at night. I didn't. So I was like, okay, this person told me. You know what? You don't like to camp. We want you to stay the night. We got a bed for you. We'll put it in the kitchen. It's like there's a whole bunch of these like log cabins. They're like, there's a kitchen. We'll put one in there for you. I said, okay. Of course, what happened was everyone got really drunk, and I was like, oh, I want to go to bed. The tables are still all in the kitchen. Nothing's cleaned up. So I said, okay.
Fuck.
Yeah, I was like, okay, F this. Sorry guys, I don't swear much, so I'm trying. This is where I can swear. Fuck. Yeah,
okay. You can. Yeah, say the whole word. You don't gotta say F.
So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna sleep in my car. I had my pillow already. I only had to turn on my car once at 3 a.m. to put some heat in it, and then I went back to bed. But I only got 5 hours sleep, and then I drove another 2 hours. So guys, I'm not really sorry.
And then he immediately started podcasting.
Yeah, we got home, and I wanted to do this. I was really excited to do this. I'm not going to lie. So, you know, he showed me the stories we're going to talk about. I read them really quick, and yeah. So anyway, so back to this, the female one. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I love being derailed. I'm going to derail it again for a second. I always, I dislike when a bunch of people are drinking and you kind of know that you're going to end up winding down. You're like, it's 2 a.m. Like, I'm not going to have another drink if I know I'm going to go to bed in the next half hour.
Yeah.
And like, my friends in particular would always keep being like, no, have another one. And it's like, I'm literally going out the door. I need to go to bed. There's no point in me having another one. It is only going to cause me pain in the morning.
So I do something that, you know, my brother's really close to me. He's like scalding at me nowadays to never do this. But all my friends know me is what I do is I ghost. I either ghost or ninja out of there. And that's where it's like, you know what? It's time to wrap this up. I don't want to deal with the pressure of people being like, no, stay. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You know what? You know how people are, right?
Yeah.
It's just like if you're doing something, like if people are drinking and you're not drinking, you're going to get shit because then they feel like they're doing something. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that, but I just ghosted. That's all I do right there. That's my best. I know it's rude because you didn't say goodbye to the host or whatever, but I'll say goodbye to him later.
It's oftentimes the best way to handle a situation, to be perfectly honest.
We're Canadian. We don't like confrontations, you guys.
No, yeah,
we don't like confrontations.
We can apologize the next day. It's fine. It's all good.
Oh, sorry, eh? Oh, sorry.
I just wasn't feeling well. I just had to leave right away, eh?
I don't even say that. I say, I just left. Sorry. Sorry.
That's good. Honest, too.
Yeah. Very much
so, yeah. This fucking story just boggled my mind. It's like a week old at this point, but I wanted to talk about it just because I cannot continually understand the drive these people have to make someone else feel bad.
The problem,
particularly women.
Yeah, I think the main thing is a lot of people know it's the internet, right? Like if you're a big celebrity on the internet, one kind of company I really like is Rooster Teeth. I've always liked Rooster Teeth, but they always talk about in their podcasts, they always talk about the negative comments and how you stop reading comments because you know there's nothing really good or bad or nothing good that really could come out of them, right? So, and I don't think these people, all these girls know that, right? So they're reading every comment and just going, I can only imagine the feelings they get. Like, I can never imagine dealing with threats and just like the negativity about yourself, like just because it's a picture, right? So all it's showing is you're outside, you're not who you are, what you do. So they're just judging you personally on looks right now too, which is so bad for self-esteem.
Or they think you're pushing some liberal agenda and all you were doing was, trying to give a tribute to a dead woman.
This is terrible.
That's 2017 for you folks. So this story's kind of garbage anyway, so let's just move on to the next one. Because I love me some Pokemon. Pokemon, the movie I Choose You, gets a limited theatrical release from Fathom. When was the last time a Pokemon movie was in theaters, Geekseh?
You know what? I used to like Pokemon, say, Red Blue era, right? Classic Red Blue era, classic. And then I watched the TV shows, and then I remember the one coming out with Mewtwo, and I'm going to say that's the last movie to ever be in theaters. Because I really don't know. The first three were definitely in theaters, and then they stopped, and they kept coming out with movies just straight to DVD, because Pokemon as a franchise just never stopped. It's a fucking monster, for lack of a better term. As a franchise, it just continues to be like extraordinarily popular. So I'm wondering if this is going to be kind of the new trend, and then maybe Pokemon becomes back to theaters, because this is an origin story highlighting Ash and Pikachu's first meeting in their adventures as they search for the Pokemon Ho-Oh. So this is back to the generation that you remember, Geekseh. So, okay, here's what I was wondering when I read it. I'm not going to lie to you. When they talked about it coming to theaters, I was like, okay, that's, I guess, is a big deal. But I was like, is this like a re-release? Is this like the first movie and they're re-releasing it? Or is this an entirely new movie? Like, that's how much I don't know about this.
It's an entirely new movie. Okay. And it's just, it's going to be in the era of like the very first Pokemon episodes, I think, when Ash just had Pikachu. That show, man, that fucking show, there were so many things that when I was a kid I was so frustrated at Ash for doing. Do you remember the Mankey episode?
Could you kind of remind me, and I'll say if I know it. I did watch them all. I've seen them all. I'm going to tell you that. The OG episodes, I've probably seen them all for sure. But which one's the Mankey episode? Let
me tell you about Ash Ketchum the Dumbass. He finds this little monkey Pokemon. It's a Mankey. We don't know that yet. It's a fighting type. We don't know that yet. And throughout the episode, he's trying to catch it, but it's nearly beating him to death. Like, him, the trainer. Not his Pokemon. Like, it's fucking with him. And he goes through a struggle the entire episode to get this thing. It evolves into a Primeape, beats the shit out of him again, and then he finally gets it. And he's like, I got a motherfucking Primeape. And at the time, I'm like, oh god, he has like a strong-ass Pokemon. Because before that, he had a Butterfree and a,
And a caterpillar? He had a Butterfree because he got the caterpillar thing.
And a Pidgeotto and stuff. Like, this is a badass, like, fighting ape. I was like, yeah, I'm stoked. 3 episodes later, he goes to a fighting tournament, and he just gives the Primeape away. I was like, this thing nearly killed you. How is this okay?
Wouldn't you want to be like a, like a movie where they take this evil monster that's trying to kill you and then you keep it locked away? So don't you think he'd like bury it so it never comes at him again? Or he puts it in like a vault, then 50 years down the way they can make another episode about how someone broke into the vault and let the Primeape out, and now he's wants Ash's blood. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many ways you could have went other than like, hey, I got this sweet Pokemon, best one I've probably ever catched in a long time, but here you go.
It was definitely one of the strongest Pokemon he'd caught up to that point, and it blew my mind. He also gave away his Butterfree because it wanted to fuck other Butterfrees. He gave up his Pidgeotto, which he didn't use for half the series, and then it evolved, and he was just like, go with your family. He's too nice.
I'm imagining him be like, Pikachu, you're gone, and then him just giving him the finger and walking away.
Dude, he actually tried to give Pikachu away. Do you remember this?
No, I don't.
Yeah, he's had like multiple episodes where he's tried to give, I swear, like every single one of his like traditional Pokemon away. Same thing with Bulbasaur. He found a Bulbasaur like patch, and there was a giant Venusaur, and it was like the Elder, and then they all kicked the shit out of his Bulbasaur, and he was like, I'm gonna leave you here with your family, and Bulbasaur was like, nah, bro, you're like my master, like don't leave me. Same thing with Pikachu, found a herd of Pikachus, and he was like, it's probably better this way. He just keeps trying to break up with them.
Why? Like, it's like an abusive relationship if you're with them, right? Like, Ash is just like using you for your fighting skill, and then guess what? I'm done with you.
He has a moment of heart, and he's like, oh, you have a family, and you have a crowd you need to be with. No, I have a dog. I have a little wiener dog named Watson. If I met a herd of wild wiener dogs, I'm not going to let him go. I'm not going to be like, oh, yes, go with your family.
What you don't know is they're going to kill Watson because they don't like him in the pack. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You're thinking like, oh, yeah, they'll just become best friends. You know, they're going to become best friends.
My dog will become the alpha. He'll lead them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can see Watsy being an alpha.
He's definitely not. We're actually taking him to training classes right now, and it is some tough shit.
Have you gone to your... Okay, so you've been to your training classes.
Yes.
How are they? Tell me about them.
So... I mean, Watson is a jackass, and he's only the second worst dog in the class. There's another dog that just constantly barks, and that starts triggering Watson to bark. Like, it's just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and then they just keep going back and forth. Yeah. So you need to get a sheet to put in front of them, like a little thing, so they can't see the other dogs. And then, you know, the people come around, and they try to tell you, like, okay, this is what you need to be doing for your dog, and blah, blah. But, like, the thing is... Watson's pretty smart. We've taught him to, you know, sit, lie down, come, all that stuff. Like, he needs a little more help, but, like, he's pretty good with that kind of stuff. Really, the thing we need to be working on, which I'm not sure is in a training class, is his desire to kill other dogs.
Gotcha. You almost need him to, like, yeah, you need to go to a bunch of dog parks all the time and just be, like...
Overexpose him to, like...
just overexpose him to, like, a whole bunch of friends.
That's the thing. Usually when we've gone to, like, beaches before and brought him out, and... He's running around, like, off-leash, like, in crowds, doesn't care, doesn't, like, bark at anyone. But when you're, like, walking with him on like, the path or something, and there's just one person and one dog coming, he starts barking maniacally, and you cannot get him to stop.
I wonder what that is. Showing the alphaness, eh? Watson.
Yeah, little Waddy. He's a killer.
Yeah, little sassy Waddy, we call him over here in Canada, if you guys don't know. He's known. He's known in all these parts.
Yeah, he's a great little dog, but yeah, he definitely has some issues when it comes to other dogs. What were we fucking talking about? Pokemon?
We're talking about Pokemon and how ridiculous the show is, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure the last podcast you guys talked about the Chicago incidents. Did you talk about that?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about it and how, okay, so here's my thing. I have two friends, they like video games and whatnot, they're a couple, but they don't play really any games aside from Pokemon Go.
Wow.
And they're like obsessed with Pokemon Go. And I think it's great because they're a couple, you know, it's something they can do together. It's fun. I get that. but it is not a good game. If you're going to tell me that it is a good game, you are strongly, strongly mistaken. Can it be a good game? Yeah, it could. It's still okay, but it's not good.
No, it is. Yeah, it's far under what it could be. And they seem totally caught off guard by the popularity. And even now, a year on, they don't seem like they've improved it that much.
So their argument to me was like, oh, you know what? They didn't know how big it was going to be. You know, like when it first came out and it was really kind of, you know, bare bones, very bare bones. And they're like, oh, they didn't know how popular it was going to be. You know, it's not their fault. And I said, okay, you know what? I argued with them. I said, okay, fine. They didn't know what it was going to be. But like a year later, it's still pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're really doing much. And I want it to be good. Don't get me wrong. I want that game to be good because I did play it for a month and it was okay. It was okay.
Yeah. But it had too many problems to keep wanting to play it.
Yeah, and there's only so much you can do. It didn't keep, like, yeah, I want to go catch Pokemon. It was fun, but then, you know, you can't do that much with the Pokemon aside from these gyms. So, you know, I'm trying to talk to them about it, and, you know, they still stick with that. It's a good game, whatever. But then the Chicago thing happens, and I wanted it to be good. I heard about it before, and I was like, that's cool. You know what? This is a start that maybe they can make some money and from this and see how popular it's becoming, and they
totally dropped the ball. Again, they somehow didn't know that many people were going to come and that they were going to drop the server, like the server was going to crash and all this shit. Like, it's insane. Sorry, for those that don't know, the Chicago incident was Pokemon Go had like a little festival thing, and they were going to launch a bunch of legendary Pokemon that everyone could come together in that area and defeat the Pokemon and catch it or whatever, and they just totally dropped the ball. People started shouting, like, fix your game, and they had to, like, leave the stage and get off and not come back on for an hour. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, and I don't want to stay on the subject because you guys already talked about it, but it's just really, really disappointing that this happened. And I don't know if you heard, but now a bunch of people who flew from overseas are now suing Niantic. Is it Niantic? Niantic. They're suing Niantic in a group lawsuit.
Yeah, class action thing.
Yeah, class action. And you know what? It's not going to go far. They're going to lose.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but you know, at least they're trying, I guess, and I can understand. But you're still there. You're still in Chicago, which is a beautiful city. But you know, it's sour. That's the problem. Is that whole experience, because you're basing your whole trip on this one thing. Once that goes sour, now your trip's sour. Now you're not having a good time.
I think it sours the fan base, because I'm thinking, like, you know, a year into this Pokemon Go thing, I think most people are like us and they dropped off within the first 2 months or something. Yeah. Like, a year on, people still playing are your most hardcore base. And then even the more hardcore of those people went to this event. And then they got fucked, you know?
Good call. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. It is true. It's like, I would love to see the numbers, wouldn't you? To see, like, the first month, second month, third month?
I'm sure the drop. Yeah, I'm sure the drop off was huge. Oh, yeah. Huge. I cannot believe it.
It was everywhere. Anyways.
Yeah. I mean, fingers crossed, Pokemon Go, maybe it'll be successful in 2020. Who knows?
What was successful in 2017, though?
Oh, that's very good. Get Out. Get Out is 2017's most profitable film so far, with a spectacular 630% return on investment.
That is so good for that movie, for everyone involved. Jordan Peele. I'm just trying to think of the company. What's the company name? You called them for doing Spawn.
Blumhouse.
Yeah. It's unreal. The movies, I'm so happy because that movie deserves that.
Absolutely.
It was a great movie.
Get Out was a movie that I when it first came out, I didn't get to see in theaters, and I just kept hearing about how good it is. And I feel like almost sometimes that can almost like poison your mentality on a movie, because you go into it eventually expecting to see a masterpiece or something, you know? Your expectations are just too high and it wouldn't be able to reach it. But Get Out, even after all the praise I heard, when I finally saw it, I was still blown away by it.
You know what? I was scared. I was really scared. I'm going to tell you right now. Mm-hmm. Because Get Out was so pumped, or pumped up from everyone, just like It Follows was.
Yep.
Now, I don't know how your feelings about It Follows. I think it's a good movie. I think it got a little too hyped.
It probably did. I saw it early on, so I was probably one of the people being like, "Go watch it! It's the greatest thing ever." Yeah. I really love that movie.
Did you? Okay, so I have to watch it again. I think because it was good, but I didn't see the. Yeah, I like the music. Like the music definitely was like Drive. It was totally atmospheric. It was good, but
soundtrack by Disasterpiece Theater. They do a lot of good work. Like,
oh, do they? I didn't even know that.
Disasterpiece Theater. Everybody, go Google them. Check them out. Check out their soundtracks. They're great. So
when I heard about Get Out, I was like, oh, it's probably going to be good. And then I heard it had a lot of commentary on the race culture right now and stuff, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what it's like. And it blew me away. It was really good, really interesting.
I'm so happy to hear that.
They were fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
I really liked his buddy that he always kept calling.
There's
like comedic relief in between the movie, which was so well done.
It helped the pacing of that movie entirely. Like, it was very good because there were so many points when it was just like it felt so like dour and down and like this is fucked up. And then he would call his friend and you'd be like, oh, okay, a little bit of levity.
Do you think this is going to make them? Do you think like it talks about Split doing like being a success too, which was another great movie. And if you guys haven't seen it, but you guys watch M. Night Shyamalan movies, I'm telling you, the ending's worth it. Have you seen Split?
Yeah, loved Split.
Okay, so I won't ruin it for everyone, because I think the ending, if you've seen every M. Night Shyamalan movie, or, the main beginning ones that were really good, the ending's just so good.
It's a return to his early work in more ways than one.
Yeah. And it makes sense. It's like, oh my god, that's so cool, and you want to go down this rabbit hole now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm so happy because like Blumhouse, I just continually think knocks it out of the park with this. I feel like I talk about this on like every other podcast, but their idea of giving $5 million to a director or a creator and just letting them have complete creative freedom because $5 million isn't that much to them. It results in shit like Split and Get Out, which are both fantastic movies. They got, the director got creative control, got to say his story, got to say his message, and it made them 630% return on investment. Like, that's crazy. Like, it just goes to show that, like, letting the creator have the reins is, like, a lot of times a great thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. You do see some bad things, though, also, but I think they're so particular about who they work with, and I'm sure to them until this time $5 million, $6 million was a lot of money to them, right? They did big movies, but it's not like they're like pumping all this stuff out. So now at least they have a little more leeway. Maybe if they had some ideas on the back burner, they're like, that's a little too experimental. We don't have that much wiggle room to just throw away this $5 million.
Well, they might give Todd McFarlane maybe $8 million instead of $5 million now to do Spawn.
This is becoming the Duke Nukem of movies.
That's a good analogy.
And not in the way of like they're redoing it. It's just they're always like he's always talking about it. And now McFarlane will make it good. I know he will, because there's so much good that can come from it. Like the whole. Like, I love the clown. The clown in Spawn is amazing.
The Violator.
Pardon?
The Violator, right?
The Violator, yeah. I think he can be an amazing character. And you know what? John Leguizamo, he was a little too... I get in the comics, I'm pretty sure he was comedic too, right? Like, he had this dark comedy about him. But John Leguizamo didn't do too bad with him. Like
I thought he was totally acceptable. I like that movie.
That movie's not bad. The movie's not bad. Does it have its faults? Yeah.
Yes.
It has a lot of them. Yeah. But you could see where they were going. It was totally that 90s, like, comic book movie. Grungy, and comic book movies aren't that good, so they're going with the Highlander kind of feel. A lot of electricity with swords and all that stuff. But
it was one of the better superhero movies at the time, for sure.
100%. It was one of the movies when I was a kid. I watched it over and over again. Like, I was right into it. But I think he just has to make it. Like, just put it out. And I was reading articles talking about the cape, how the cape's always shifting and moving, and how are you going to do that on a budget of $8 million? So they are going to have to do a trick with that. Like in the first one, they barely had the cape.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It kind of just zapped into him, like, you know what I mean, sucked into his skin. But
it was there for like intros, basically.
I think for $8 million though, he can make a decent Spawn movie. It might not be his full vision, and that's what scares me. Is if it's not McFarlane's full vision, it's done. You know, he'll sit on it again. Which, hey, if this is your baby and you love this universe, you created this universe, and you have this idea, and it's not getting put to paper or to screen as you want, I get it. Pull the plug then. But just shut up until you find more people. I'm
sure we'll continually hear about it while it's in production, in pre-production, and post-production from Todd. He seems to like the spotlight.
Oh, of course. Is it no? So is it a done deal? I don't know about that.
Yes,
yet.
for sure.
It's a done deal. It's
Blumhouse. Happening. Yeah, is going to be the one producing it.
Okay. What are you predicting anything in it?
No, I think there was a rumor. I'm pretty sure that Spawn is not going to be the main character. The main character is going to be like one of the detectives instead.
Oh, Lock and Key? Is that
Which?
Lock and Key?
Yes, them. Yeah. So it's probably going to be that, and that's probably how they're going to get around showing Spawn's cape too much or anything like that.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea, because then you can prove that it's a hit, and then maybe the next one you could have way more Spawn, because Lock and Key are great characters. If you guys don't know, it's like this big fat guy and this skinny mini guy too. It's really funny, but I think that's the way to do it. That's pretty smart. Just have the clown. Just have
Violator. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
he's iconic. He's iconic in both forms. Geekseh, I wanted to, did we talk about this before? I want to bring it back to It Follows for a second. I know we're entirely off track with the news, but I don't really give a fuck. It Follows. Do you have a plan to get rid of that creature if it ever comes after you?
Oh, man.
Because I have a theory, and I'm not sure it would work, but I think it's the best thing I can think of.
Are you going to talk about effing monkeys?
Not a monkey, a bird.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, realistically, there are a ton of things you can do.
Wait. Is that your plan?
Yeah, totally. So, okay. I'm gonna trap like a fucking like a chickadee, and then I'm gonna bust on it, and I think that's enough. I don't think I actually have to have
now
sex.
There's where the loophole is. Is it fluids? Is it penetration?
Yeah, what is it? I mean, the whole thing, it really seems like a commentary on STDs and how it follows you throughout your entire life.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think of that.
It's definitely something to do with sexual experience. Whether it's an STD or maybe assault, it's hard to say.
Okay, so they're right there. You just answered your question. It has to be penetration then. You cannot get STDs. Wait, you can get STDs from bodily fluid.
Yeah, you totally can.
Yeah, okay. Well, wow, high school taught us well. Okay, go on.
Yeah, the Canadian high school system, yeah, really knocked it out of the park on that
I'm
one.
like, wait, if you, yeah, okay, go on.
Okay, so I mean, realistically, what you could do is, that thing seemed like fairly stupid. You could probably trap it in a hole and then drop a cage on it, and then bring the government there and be like, look, there's an invisible beast in here, and because physical things affect it, you could just start throwing coffee cups at it, and it would bounce off, and they'd be like, yeah, that looks like something, and then people would investigate it, and it would be taken into a laboratory the rest of its life. That's not really that hard to believe. Otherwise, yeah, I would just totally take a little bird, and then I would give it the business.
Okay, yeah, okay. What's with the little bird thing?
Birds
why can't it be something ugly like a rat or something, but like a little cute chickadee?
Because I think those things are so flighty and so they don't they don't let anything get near it. So it would just it would fly away. It would always fly away. This thing is slow. It walks. We haven't seen it run. It'll never get close enough to that chickadee. And that chickadee will just keep going. That chickadee will breed with other chickadees, spread it to other, a bunch of other little birds, and then it'll just be chasing birds the rest of its life. I don't have to worry about that It Follows creature.
But here's the thing. Now, there's a little something I have to add there. Isn't when that chickadee dies, it's coming back to you?
Yes, that would have to be my worry for a very long time.
Yeah, how long do you think chickadees last?
That's a good question. I'm going to Google the average lifespan of a chickadee.
I hope it's like, I know it's
3
not,
days.
but I'm hoping it's like 6 months or something. It's like, oh, that 6-month chickadee. Always have like chickadees in your apartment, so you're like, oh, it's about that time.
Okay, so it's about 1.5 years.
Oh, okay.
Roughly.
Okay.
Which is fine, because I think that means they also have a good breeding cycle. So they must probably breed at least twice in their life cycle. And so it's going to fuck another chickadee, and then that chickadee has the It Follows disease, and then it just breeds again. You know? It just keeps going.
Okay, we got, like... I think we got problems, though, because you're saying... Okay, so if it survives, right? But it's always getting followed. So eventually the thing could climb a tree and get it, right?
I think so, but I think my whole plan here is chickadees being so flighty and nervous, and they'll just... Any sign of, like, danger, it just flies away from it, and then It Follows is like... Fuck. I just gotta keep...
Because it has to walk, right? Like, that's the whole shtick?
Yes, that's why they drove away, like, you know, overnight, and then they were at that beach, and they were unharmed for a long time, because it took the thing, like, 4 days to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, people have other plans where you could, like, you know, go to Australia, bone someone there, and then fly back, and then It Follows has to go all the way. He has to walk underwater, I guess, to Australia and find the person there. And then you're probably good for, like, 4 years.
You're good, like, you only got bust on a chickadee once every
See, I'm trying to go for efficiency.
Yeah. No, that's smart.
Yeah, I think so. I just wanted to go over that because it immediately came to mind. I always want, like, it's almost like having a zombie, like, escape plan, but it's specifically for It Follows.
I like it. You never know when that thing is going to become real, so you have to have a plan in place.
You do have to have a plan in place. I don't have any segue that's good for that, but The Dark Tower leads the week with $19.5 million, which is not a great opening.
I was just going to say, like, I was like, that's not bad or good. That's not good at all.
No, like, several movies this summer have opened, you know, like with 80 million and whatnot, and I think Spider-Man might have opened with like 100 million.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, like The Dark Tower, and I mean, Dark Tower is Stephen King's, if you don't know, it's done by Stephen King, like, as probably half the movies made are now. And it's like his magnum opus. It's like the thing he loves the most. He considers it like his best work, and I think it spans like 17 books at this point. And
it's so much. It's so much. He's in the books.
Yeah, like he's a figure in the books. Yeah. So it must kind of suck to see this, like, your magnum opus come out so weak, and then also it's not like it's like a cult hit where it's like, oh, it got really good critical reviews and it's failing box office wise. It's like, no, it's just no one wants to see it, and also it's not good.
The best review I heard about it, like, everyone's poo-pooing on this movie right now, very much so. They're poo-pooing on it, and yep. I thought it was going to be 50-50, to be honest. I really did. I didn't know if it was going to be good or not, but, you know, I was open. But the best interpretation I heard was someone said it was okay, but it didn't leave you wanting more. And for a movie that's based on a 17-book trilogy, 27-book trilogy, I don't know. But
I don't think it's called a trilogy anymore when it's 27 books.
You know us Canadians. We've got different rules. I think that's the worst part about it. If it doesn't leave you wanting more, then it's definitely a failure. Yeah, for sure, because they wanted this to be a franchise. They wanted it to be something they could milk for years. Yeah, and I almost just kind of feel bad because, like, even though Stephen King is, like, you know, rich and successful and one of the all-time great writers, I still think, like, if the thing that I made that I thought was my best work ever just came out as a failure, I would probably be pretty sad about it. I wonder how close he works with them. It's hard to say. I think it probably differs from movie to movie. He seemed like he was tweeting about this one a lot more, though. And again, because it's so much of his baby, you know? Yeah, I wonder what like, does he, like, if you have Stephen King and you're not getting him to write the script, I'm sure they have other screenwriters coming in and tampering with it, and, you know, just too many fingers in the pie. Just too many fingers in the pie, bro. Too many. But speaking of Stephen King, he has another movie coming out this year that I honestly think is probably going to be the number one greatest movie ever in the world ever. Yeah, something like that. I think it's going to do quite well critically and financially. I think it might be one of the biggest
Stephen King movie openings ever, because there's just so much great buzz around it. And that would be it.
I don't know if your viewers know, but last week, I was very upset. I was like, ooh, they're going to talk about it, because I tweeted to them the week before. I was like, ooh, can't wait for you guys to talk about the new trailer. So excited. You're the best. Lol. And then it's the day the podcast comes out. I see they tweeted it. I'm like, oh yeah, let's sit down, see what they think about it. I'm interested. And it wasn't there. Wah. Yeah. Insert wah, please.
And we totally talked about it offline, and I don't know how it didn't make it into the... I think we talked about it before the podcast, and then we realized our mistake after we were done recording. Like, because we brought it up again. we didn't talk about it on the podcast. Yeah, totally our bad. But you know what? It worked out for the best, because now you're here, and I know you're super passionate about it.
Yeah, I'm really excited that I got to come on this weekend so I could talk about it. Guys, if you don't know, I love this movie. This movie, I talked about it in the first podcast with you. It scarred me. It scarred me for life, and now it became it is my favorite horror movie. And then it goes Halloween the original. It's just a good. I get that the end with the spider, I get that it has its flaws. Especially now that I've read the book. Yeah, it definitely has major flaws. But watching the new trailer, I am so excited.
It looks awesome. Excited. And it from the get-go, from the first teaser to the newest TV promos, it has looked fantastic.
The one part I was worried about, I'll tell you, Cal, is his voice. Because in the second trailer, you just hear it for a second when he's in the sewer.
Yep.
And that's what was going to make or break him, right? I think everyone was kind of poo-pooing again on his outfit like the internet does. They don't like his outfit. I get that it's in the book, it is more of Tim Curry's. Way more like Tim Curry's.
It's a colorful clown costume, and this looks like a little bit more like he's a vintage doll or something.
Like a Renaissance character, Yeah. Like he was doing the flute back in the day or something,
Yeah, doing the flute back in the day.
And leading the charge with the army, and just he's almost like prancing. You know what I mean? He's at the front almost prancing. That's what he looks like, he has that outfit on. You'd see in cartoons, right?
Yep.
So I thought it was a new take on the character. I thought that's what they need. They can't just have him back in the silvery suit with the orange pom-poms. That's too easy. It's too easy. So I like that they took a chance, and I truly believe it paid off. And watching these new trailers, especially the new promo spots, one of the new promo spots, guys, it's a Spanish TV spot, so it has him talking more. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely, we were talking about this before the podcast. You were saying it's more lispy.
Yeah. What does he say? Oh, you have lots of friends. He has that lisp at the end of S's almost. And it's very whispery, more in a dulcet tone. And I get he's whispering, but it sounds like that's going to kind of be the vibe of his voice. Compared to Tim Curry's, who was pack-a-day smoker,
always loud. Always loud.
A grotesque, fucking get you, kid. This, very grody voice.
What I like about that is that you're going to hear him be soft-spoken, doing his creepy soft-spoken thing, and then when he does do a Tim Curry, I'm going to get you, it's going to be a bigger punch on screen, him actually, the part where he's going after the kid, and it's brah, it's doing almost the Wilhelm scream or whatever,
Yeah.
But it's going to be more of a punch when he really turns on his aggression and really wants to kill the kids.
Yeah, there'll be a vocal change.
He wants to kill kids.
Yeah, yeah. If you didn't know that, sorry for the huge spoilers. Yeah, no, you're right. It could work in its favor, actually, that he has this very soft voice, and then when he gets angry, there's a physical and vocal change.
I think this is going to be, honestly, I am a fanboy.
I think it's the voice didn't really bother me at all. I do think it's a very safe choice in kind of what I want to call Hollywood horror, is to do that whispery, creepy voice. How often do you hear that kind of thing in trailers? And the either like a little kid like whispering like lava down here, like whatever it is, you know. I think it's very safe, but at the same time, I think it's effective, which is why so many people are using it. The voice thing did not worry me at all. Like that's the thing. When you brought this up beforehand, I wasn't so jarred by it as it sounded like you were.
Like when he says he's like take it, and I was just like I don't know. I didn't know. But then the new Spanish TV spot, like I said, guys, it has him definitely talking a little more, talking about his friends and stuff. And also, like, just some of the scenes are definitely not in the... Like, some of the scenes are definitely not in the book, I'll tell you that. But, like, they look fun. Like, the scenes look fun. Like, the new TV spot where there's a bunch of kids saying, kill them all. Kill them all. It looks like that's going to be scary. Imagine seeing that if you were a kid with a clown. So
this is going to start a whole new era of, like, clownophobes, probably. There's a real word for that, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, for sure there is. For sure there is. That's a common one. That one's easy.
Did you see that trailer I tweeted to you about that other clown, like the one with the black face paint?
Yes, I did.
What did you think of that? Just out of curiosity.
It was low budget, right? Like I'm trying to picture it right now. It still looks good. Like the clown character looks good, but it's hard when you have low budget movies because the acting is just so bad. So,
yes, it is. Yes,
but it's a cool concept.
I think you got to find a certain amount of charm in bad acting and low production to like that kind of movie. Like, I'm really interested in it because I want to see what they're gonna do with it. Because it's so hard to do something with a clown with having someone as iconic as Pennywise. You know,
for sure. And you were telling me you're reading the book right now. I just want to talk one more thing about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the book, one of my favorite parts of the book, you guys, and I know it's a big book, guys, but give it a read. Honestly. It's really fun. It's really good. But
it's like 1,200 pages.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a challenge for sure. But you know what? And I'll tell you, the beginning part where you're at, it's kind of slow, especially because you've seen the movie. It's kind of slow, but then you're gonna start getting into once the first. I'd say the first. I know this sucks, but the first 300, 400 pages, once you're done those, everything's different. Like, not everything, but a lot of it's different. And you're going to be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, I'm excited for that. And the thing that I really liked about the book was the history of it. They talk about the history of Pennywise. And they say, they go back to, there's a Western scene. There's, the 1930 scene. And it's just retelling old history stories of this clown.
That sounds really interesting.
It's so good. It's really good. Now, I'm not going to spoil it, but that's what I was really excited for in this movie. I was like, I hope they do, maybe a couple of historic scenes about this character so we get a little... Because you didn't really get any of that background from the first one. They talk about it with the pictures. They say, oh, it's been here its whole life, but they didn't really say any more of it. Mm-hmm. So there's one chapter called The Black Spot. I won't get into it, but it is one of the history scenes about this clown, and I was wanting that in this movie. I was really wanting that in this movie, and just recently, I don't know who it was, but someone that's a producer on the movie said, we're not going to say anything, but we think that The Black Spot would be a great opening of the second movie, and we want to put more history in there. So I was excited because they want to do that. But I'm bummed out because I already know going into this movie, we're not going to see really.
You're not going to see it yet, yeah. No, fuck. That sounds really interesting. I gotta keep reading that book. I want to get it finished before I go to see this new adaptation. So, the actual news story here, which we haven't talked about, is that the running time is 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what do you think of that? What do you think of 2 hours and 15 minutes for this movie?
I think, and this is totally a me thing. I don't know how other people feel about it. I think the longer horror movies get, the more ineffective they become. Just because I don't know if I can sustain myself in those worlds for that long. I love Conjuring, and I love Conjuring 2. Conjuring 2, however, was 2.5 hours long, and by the last half hour, I want to say, I was, everything had just, there had been enough jump scares and tension building that I was just kind of I left my body. It was kind of an out-of-body experience where I was like, okay, I'm ready for this to wrap up. Let's not nothing was scaring me anymore, you know? So I think that's just a general weakness for horror films, for me, personally. But if it was doing something like, and maybe they're not doing it now, but the history of the Pennywise, that could be really interesting to lengthen the movie, because like I would be interested in that. I would be interested in the lore and history of the creature rather than another like fake out jump scare.
The good thing about Pennywise, though, is that it's a clown. It's creepy in general. Like you know, in The Conjuring and everything that like that, they have that bad guy who is really scary, but they base it on pop scares. You know what I mean? Like, they want those jump scares from everyone. There are a couple of creepy parts, don't get me wrong, but I really hope they just use the clown as a symbol of like, this is a creepy friggin' clown.
Well, that's another thing. They have not shied away from showing Pennywise in these ads at all. Like, he's front and center. You're seeing a lot of him. And I hope it's not one of the cases of like, everything we've seen in the trailers is the only times he pops up, you know?
Oh, good call. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, like yeah.
Yeah, because like, I know a lot of horror movies like going for the whole alien aspect, like the first Alien, like where it doesn't get shown for a long time, and it's just this building dread and horror. And I really hope that there's a lot more Pennywise in this movie than they've just shown in the trailers.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting how they adapt the book now, because it already looks like they adapted way more of the book than the old one. Mm-hmm. And I you know, it is the story of these kids, the Losers Club. It is the story of them, but it's more of like, it's the story of Pennywise too. So if they don't do that, if they only do it every once in a while, I'll be kind of choked. But I'm happy that the cast of kids is a great cast, They look fantastic, but I'm going to tell you, everyone, I'm going to be there for showing.
Well, I mean, I want to invite you on to do a review of the movie when you see it, because Mike and I will probably see it first weekend opening as well. So I'd like you to come on and be our third reviewer.
I will 100% be there. I might have seen it twice by then, so I'm honestly that excited for this movie. I haven't been this excited for a movie since The Dark Knight Rises. Sorry, The Dark Knight. Sorry guys. Sorry.
It's so crazy to me. I had no idea. We've known each other for quite a while, and yeah. I never knew this. Like, we did a podcast together before this podcast many years ago, and I never knew that. So yeah, it's just always mind-boggling to me that you are this into it specifically.
I'm more of just into I like horror movies. I really like horror movies, guys. I already pressured the boys here to do a horror movie podcast, and I'm excited to listen to see what their favorite horror movies but I think it's just like this one movie really set it off for all horror movies for me, because I remember watching this on ABC. My parents just let me watch it, and I was so scarred from it. And then I started watching more horror movies. Like, you know, one of the best ones, it's kind of the opposite, because It to Halloween, right? It is more of like in your face Pennywise, where what I liked about Halloween was the music and like just how creepy it was that he was just there and then gone. It was
foreboding. It was I mean, he didn't even have a name in that one. He was just referred to as the Shape.
Yeah, it was
Michael Myers. Yeah,
it's so good. But yeah, I'm excited to I want to come on for the review. That's going to be. Oh, I don't know if it's bad though. Like, I don't know what I'd do. Like,
then we can just tear into it. That's what we do here.
Oh, I know, but I think I have to be an apologist. I'm like, it was bad, guys, but the second one will do it. I trust.
Hey man, I get not in review podcasts, but there's definitely segments on here where I'll just get into the fact that I like Ninja Turtles 2, the new movie, and like I'll just get into defending it. So that's just how it goes. I fucking love that movie though. It was great.
I have to watch it. Can we take a 2-minute break here, bud?
Absolutely. Let's hit pause and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the second segment of the Pens and Pixels podcast. And now, that was a perfect time to take a break, Geekseh, because now we're going over the video game news.
I'm excited. I got my gas station coffee from 3 hours ago still. I'm ready to
God.
party. I'm ready to party still.
The gas station coffee always just tastes like just hot water to me.
It's not bad, this stuff.
No?
It's not bad, but I love coffee so much, and you know what? I'm not a snob about coffee. I love Tim Hortons coffee. So everyone poo-poos on Tim Hortons coffee, but guess what? It's delicious.
Tim Hortons is up and down. I feel like sometimes I get a really good, because I often drink coffee black, and then you can really feel the taste then of it, right? So like when I get a black coffee from Tim Hortons, sometimes I get stuff that just tastes like dirt water, and sometimes I get like a really good blend that was clearly just freshly brewed. So it's so hit and miss for me. I honestly just started getting double-doubles there again.
I wish I was cool enough to get black coffee. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not cool enough.
I stopped eating sugar for a while, and so that was a while ago. I eat sugar again, but it did change a lot of things because I was putting sugar in my coffee on the daily. I would have mixed drinks, and I'd have whatever Mountain Dew and vodka or whatever the hell I was drinking. And now I just drink, I'll have whiskey straight, I'll have coffee straight. So that's just a bunch of sugar out of my diet.
That's good for you. I can't do any of that stuff. I can't do any of that stuff. No way. Whiskey? Ugh. Ugh.
No, shit's good, man. How dare you? I called you the most Canadian at the very beginning of this podcast, and now you're saying you don't like straight whiskey?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'd rather have a nice shot of maple syrup.
It's okay, man. I'm not a huge hockey fan, so we all of us Canadians have our downfalls. Well, let's get into the downfall of EA merging with Bioware.
I was just going to say pretty much something along those lines too, so perfect.
I gotta fucking beat you out on these things, because last time we were on, you had the segue. You were a master of segues. You kept beating me to the punch.
What can I say? I was prepped and ready. Today, I'm not so
yeah,
it'll be
I got him on a down day so easy, so I can reign supreme once again. Bioware Montreal, if you don't know, just recently released the not very well received Mass Effect Andromeda. And now it turns out, like a couple months ago, they were like, you know what, Mass Effect is being put on hiatus for a while. They just straight out came out and said that, which is I always thought was an odd thing. Usually video game companies, they don't come out and say like, oh yeah, Max Payne is dead, or yeah, we're not doing this anymore, that anymore. Usually they just let it die slowly and they don't mention it anymore. But they said,
oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, they said, yeah, Mass Effect on hiatus, and now Bioware Montreal is merging with Motive Studios.
So with this, I think why they told everyone it's dead is because they want the fanboys to stop saying, when's the next one? It's just like, guess what? It's dead. It's dead. It
totally could be. Either that or they think the damage was so bad with this one, they just don't want to touch it for a while. They want to let it rest for a couple years, and then maybe they reboot the series.
Oh, if you don't think they're going to reboot the series, you're very mistaken. It will be rebooted. It's just dead right now. You wait 4 more years, 5 more years.
I'm thinking 5. I'm thinking 5 years.
Yeah, and then they'll come out. Everyone will freak out that new Mass Effect's out, and it's going to be amazing. But it is sad that they merged.
It's definitely a move that's like, okay, well, no more work is getting done on Mass Effect because Bioware Montreal was the new Mass Effect studio, and the rest of Bioware is working on Anthem. So they merged them into Motive, and I'm not even sure what Motive is working on right now.
Me neither. But
they might be one of the Star Wars developers.
Oh, gosh, that makes sense. You were talking about the other game that they're making. You just said it. Sorry, the
Anthem.
Anthem. That game looks awesome.
Yeah, it does.
The game looks awesome. I'm really hyped for that.
Yeah, it looks super dope. It looks like a good version of Destiny. Is what it looks like.
Yeah. I was told the other day my destiny from a fortune teller.
Ooh.
And I told her, get out of here. I'm suing you.
Fuck! Beating me again!
I'm trying. That one was pushing it. It wasn't that great, guys, but
it caught me off guard. Rockstar is being sued because of a Vice City fortune teller. Okay, so this is a crazy fucking god damn, I can't believe how good that was. In Vice City, there's a fortune teller called Auntie Poulet, voiced by Yuri Harris, who looks and sounded very similar to the recently deceased TV psychic Miss Cleo. And now people on behalf of Miss Cleo's estate are suing Rockstar for what is it? Likeness? Plagiarism?
Yeah, it's just likeness. I think it's just likeness.
So, I mean, if you're a youngin' and out there, Vice City came out 15 years ago?
I just looked it up right now because I wanted to put a date on this.
It's a little ridiculous.
You're exactly right. 2002. October 2002.
Holy shit. So in the suit originally reported on by TMZ, the Psychic Readers Network claimed that it spent over $100 million creating and promoting Miss Cleo's persona, and that it's pretty miffed that Rockstar has exploited the character to make over $500 million.
If you think if these people think they bought the game because of a Miss Cleo likeness,
yeah, I mean that in and of itself is one of those things where you're like, do you really think this? Do you really think the game profited that heavily from a knockoff Miss Cleo?
So the problem is that the character that plays both these characters is the same person.
Wait, yeah?
I'm almost positive. Yes, Yuri Harris.
Yep. Oh, she was Miss Cleo.
Yeah, she was Miss Cleo. And she was...
That's even more fucked. What the hell? That doesn't even make any sense. She clearly approved of it then.
But no, because... yeah, she must have done something. But what they're saying now is that she just passed away. So the estate went to someone else. So now that's why I think they're going after them. Is because there must have been something in her contract or something. And now that she's sadly passed away... the estate sees money coming to him.
Oh my god, that's even more... I just thought it was the likeness thing. I didn't know that she voiced her too. That is crazy.
Yeah, she voiced her too, which is... Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. She must have approved of it.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, this is just people on behalf of her estate looking for money. That's gotta be what it is. They know Rockstar is one of the biggest developers in the world, who makes the game that sells the most in the world. Yeah.
Rockstar has never, ever lost a court battle?
No.
And nor do they just pay stuff out.
No. They fight.
They have to, because they know if they didn't, everyone and their dog would come after them.
Yep.
So they just say, yeah, okay, let's do this. I'm
sure
Rockstar has more money than the Miss Poulet, or you know what I mean, Yuri Harris estate.
Yeah, no. And then, at the bottom of this thing, it said Lindsay Lohan took them to court and lost because, I remember this happened a couple years ago, she fought them for a likeness battle, too, because there was some GTA 5, promotional art that said was using her likeness. And, it was
cover. It's the cover, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's a girl in a bikini. It looks like a generic white girl. I don't know how she came to this conclusion, but she also tried to get some money out of them.
I think, though, that's just for publicity. See, with her, I was like, okay, you just want to be on the map, you want to be in the news headlines, I get it.
Yeah, I guess so.
But Yuri Harris estate? What do you have to do to get into, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are they getting out of this? Do you actually think you have a case? They must actually think they have a case, but...
They must. Yeah, if they're going this far with it, they must think that.
They're going to lose. Either way, you're going to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no good segue. Do you have a good segue? I
was going to say, I do have a good one. They're going to lose like you usually do in PUBG.
Ooh, spicy. So Unknown Battlegrounds overtakes Fallout 4 and holds the highest peak player count of any non-Valve game on Steam, which is fucking mind-blowing. That is crazy. The rise to success that PUBG has seen is nothing I've ever seen before.
It is a phenomenon. Now, let me start by saying, everyone, PUBG is one of my main games we play at the channel, which is twitch.tv/Geekseh. Yeah. It's one of my main games that I play because it is so good and so much fun. So I understand this, but to do it in 3 months or 4 months time.
Yeah, a lot of times these things are a slow crawl, and eventually they become number one, and at PUBG, again, it just came out of nowhere. I remember I just started seeing YouTube videos of it, and I was like, what the fuck is Unknown Battleground? And then people started talking about a podcast I was listening to, and then you started playing it on your Twitch stream, and now I feel like I can't turn anywhere with people talking about it, or seeing it, or thinking, or discussing it in conversation about how it's going to change the future of like multiplayer games. Yeah,
they have to do some sort of article on player or PUBG's early access and how they're handling early access, because the way they're handling early access is the way every single company should be handling early access. They are letting them know pretty on the daily things they're working towards, things they're trying to do. They're taking comments and concerns from the community. They're always updating the community and telling them what's up.
Detailed patch notes as well that I've seen.
It's crazy the stuff they're doing. And they just sold, I know for sure their 5 millionth copy, and they're about to probably hit 6 now.
Yeah, they're just growing and growing. Like it is absolutely unprecedented, the popularity of this thing.
They are coming to Xbox, which was one of the smartest things Xbox could have done. They got exclusivity from.
It was
I don't know how long though.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It could be a timed exclusive. It could not be. But Microsoft was incredibly smart to pounce on it when they did.
I think that's only going to be better for everyone, in the communities. The game itself is just so much fun, you guys. If you haven't played it, listen, I'm telling you, you'll be hooked within, how you can return it to Steam if you play less than 2 hours? I promise you, you'll sit down and play hours upon hours of this. Now, it's a great price point right now. The one thing I don't like about PUBG at the moment, though, is the community is getting a little evil, a little sour.
A little toxic?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of going on Reddits, especially the PUBG one, Twitch, Hearthstone, games I play and I like. And at first, the PUBG Reddit community was like, here's some tips, here's some tricks. Oh, look at this funny video. Oh, look at what I did. And now it's just like evil bitching about the servers. And
I feel like that's growing pains with any game. Or if a game gets big enough, part of your population is going to be assholes, that's...
It's sad, especially when you sell almost 6 million copies. I get that. And I don't think people understand, they're like throwing like new guns in the game every month. And they're changing animations, and they're like, why don't you fix the servers? Why are you doing these animations? Fix the servers. It's like, I don't think you guys understand that the people that do animations have nothing to do with the servers.
No, exactly.
Yeah, so do you think they're just going to do nothing? Like, come on, like, just think before...
People do not understand development of video games, and, nor should you necessarily expect them to, I guess, but... It is frustrating from an outsider perspective, seeing people bitch about these things. You're like, that is just not how things are categorized. You're right. The person doing the animations is not the person doing servers, is not the person doing the net code,
And, this goes back to our first story about the girls. It's just, if there's something people can harp on and poo-poo... I like the word poo-poo today. That's a word of the day.
That's a good one.
On this podcast. I was going to say stream. Sorry, I'm used to saying the S word. They're going to do it, and that's all it is. It's becoming a big old poo-poo on the Reddit community. But I'm telling you guys, if you haven't played this game, there's a reason it peaked within the first 4 months of coming out, or 5 months, whatever it is. It's only getting bigger. It's only getting bigger.
And I've only ever watched you play some of it, so I still, I'm not sure what the appeal is. I guess, not to shit on it at all. I just, Hey, I just have not seen something where I was like, yeah, I really want to dive into that yet. I'm also not just a big multiplayer guy. When I do play multiplayer games, it's actually no. You know what? Scratch that. I've been playing Splatoon 2 on my Nintendo Switch, and I love it because I'm a fucking child. I'm a squid. I'm a kid.
Yeah, you're a squid kid.
I'm a squid kid.
But
okay. It's totally bullshit.
So, what PlayerUnknown, though, is doing is, it might not look like it, but do you remember, were you a big Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare player?
I was not. I played it, but I was not super into it.
Okay.
But it changed everything going forward from that game.
It changed everything. It's one of those games that come out every 5 to 10 years that change the landscape of all video games, and that's what PlayerUnknown is.
Yeah, I mean that's what people are saying. Like everybody was talking about Modern Warfare at the time, and then every single multiplayer game adapted what they were doing because it was just so good. And it sounds like that's what PUBG is doing.
If you don't think Call of Duty or any of the bigger games are going to be taking the survival mode and have, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is more realistic, right? It's very realistic. If you don't think someone's going to do, H1Z1's arcadey, H1Z1 came out before PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, but PlayerUnknown created H1Z1 too. It's more arcadey, a little more not as serious version. But if you don't think that another one of these, they call them battle arenas or battle royale, you know what I mean? If you don't think that this is going to come into Call of Duty or any other game and have like power ups and just go away with it, then you're mistaken. This version, like this battle royale kind of gameplay is going to be in so many games, you guys.
Oh yeah,
so many games.
If it's not, I don't know if they can work fast enough to implement it in next year's Call of Duty, but I guarantee it'll be in there. I guarantee it. Yeah, you're 100% correct.
Like I think even before Battlegrounds even really was big and popular, H1Z1 was popular, and even the Division did a version of it in their expansion pack. It was kind of neat, and I really like the Division, so I thought it was a fun game. So I didn't play the battle royale mode they had, but it just shows you it was only a tip of the iceberg, and it already went into a big game.
Yeah, it's always crazy to see what takes off, and something I love about video games is I find a lot of times the cream of the crop rises, the cream rises to the top, right? It's very few times, with movies, there's shit like the Transformers, which are not good films by any stretch, and they make $1 billion, and you look at it and you're like, oh, why did that make all this money? Whereas video games, I feel like good games get rewarded. Not always. There are tons of good games that don't sell enough and don't get the critical attention they should. Yeah. But I would say the top video games out there are always good games. You don't often get something that's oh, that's a shitty game being popular, aside from Pokemon Go. Really.
But you look at the records, so they're third. Any non-Valve game, so 1.2 million Dota. These are for peak players. This is for having that amount online at one time. So 1.2 for Dota 2, Counter-Strike's at 850, PlayerUnknown's is 480, and then it goes down to Fallout 4, amazing game, big title, AAA. Grand Theft Auto 5, big game, AAA. Payday 2, which was very smart.
It was another hugely popular game that I was actually kind of blindsided by.
You know what? I played it because they did something really smart, and they just got in the top 10 here this June, because they made it free.
Oh,
so Payday 2,
sense.
all the basic packs became free, and look, they got in the top 10. So smart, and they took a chance, and I know a lot of people very much poo-poo Payday 2 developer because they are bad people, apparently.
Didn't they charge for something they said they weren't ever going to charge for?
They didn't I think the Xbox versions and stuff weren't getting updated. They were really broken, and they said they're not going to fix them. Just deal with it and stuff like that. But then you have No Man's Sky.
How the fuck are that many people playing that game?
No Man's Sky?
Yeah.
It's because it came out then. That's when it first came out. That's why.
Oh, that's when it first came out. I see. Oh,
that's how how I see peak player count being, right? These are, everything's when it first came out. I'm sure if we looked at the time that top player count was for most of these games, it's release. Sid Meier's Civilization 6.
Yep.
I'm sure that's when it came out. Left 4 Dead 2, I'm sure that's when it came out. But the game, they're all pretty big titles, and you talking about cream rising to the top, look at the bottom one.
Terraria.
People
love Terraria, dude.
Yeah.
People fucking love Terraria.
Game. It's not a super graphics heavy, really cool game.
It's like a 2D Minecrafty thing. It's a very odd game, but people love the shit out of Terraria. And that's another one that sounds like it was very well supported by the developers, so That's another piece of the pie. It's not enough to be good, but you need to interact with your community and respond and keep updating and just keep people in the know. Don't go quiet on things. No Man's Sky. Don't just go quiet.
Did you buy No Man's Sky?
No, I did not.
Okay, I didn't either.
I never had any interest in that game. I was always like of the mind like, what do you do? And then it came out and everyone was like, yeah, what do you do? Like,
but it's funny when people are like pre-ordering all this stuff and then they're like, oh, I didn't know about this. Guys, who's pre-ordering anymore right now?
Yeah,
like, haven't we learnt enough that we could be like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, don't give people your money before you have the product. That's there's so many cases where games come out and are broken or not good or whatever else, right? Just wait until the day and give them your money then if you want to wait on reviews. Like, that's...
Yeah, exactly, because you don't even have to leave anymore. You can download it. But give it, like, within the first 3 hours of it being out, you're gonna see reviews. So do a little bit of research. Oh, it is good. Or be like, uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. I have not pre-ordered a game in years at this point.
I don't know. Giving money away to someone without knowing the product, sucks, because I want my money. I want my money. Just like it seems like some of these people from B7 tournaments want their money. B7. They want their money, you guys.
They do indeed want their money. So, 7 months after a Smash Brothers tournament, organizers say they can't pay the winners. That is a long time to wait already. To just be getting this news.
Yeah, I can't believe it didn't break within, 2 months.
Exactly. I wonder if there just wasn't any official word. Maybe they were trying to string them along, being like, oh, we'll get to you, that kind of thing. But
it shows you how passive all video game players are.
Yeah, in real life, once they actually get face to face.
They said they're going to give it to me next month. I'm going to wait.
Yeah, I'll just wait it out. It's not a big deal. Yeah, so I mean, the headline is basically the whole story. They have not getting paid. They handle it in an unprofessional way, all this shit. I just think that's fucking bonkers to... How are you holding a tournament if you can't pay money?
Well, I think it's, like every kind of sports or bigger things, like esports isn't big yet. Twitch is really changing that, you guys. Twitch is really doing wonderful things for esports, but it's not becoming mainstream yet. So
we got Evo this year, the big fighting game tournament with Street Fighter and whatever else on ESPN. We're making steps. We're almost there.
We're making steps, but let me give you a little fact here.
Sure.
Do you know what the highest viewed esports on a main station was?
No, what?
What game? What game do you think everyone would be watching on a mainstream station? Sorry, guys.
Honestly, I want to say Street Fighter, but I'm not sure. If you're asking this question, StarCraft.
It's Candy Crush.
No,
it's Candy Crush. Candy Crush has the highest viewership for any esports mainstream, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like presentation or you know what I mean? Like they showed it on one of the main. Yeah, that was the biggest viewership. Yeah.
I mean that makes sense because Candy Crush is so big, but it doesn't make sense to me because I consider Candy Crush's main base to be 45-year-old moms who are playing it, in between picking their kids up or whatever else they're doing, I wouldn't think they'd sit in and tune in for the Candy Crush Championships or whatever the fuck.
And I get it. It's not going to be high ratings. Right now, you guys, right as we speak, Canada is playing the Netherlands in the World Cup for Overwatch. It's a big deal. Overwatch is a huge game.
Yep.
And you know what? Twitch is hosting it, of course, and there's 40,000 people. But for mainstream ESPNs and stuff, 40,000 people, I don't think...
That's not enough.
I don't think it's enough. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I'm not educated in the way of how many viewers should be, but I don't think that's enough. But you need millions is usually a good base audience. Something that's a huge success, like The Walking Dead, gets at its peak around 8 million viewers, whereas something that's less successful might be in the low 1 million or 800,000, and that's a show that's probably getting canceled. So with saying this with you, how we both know esports is going to get there. I truly believe we're taking the steps. This Twitch is amazing. Twitch is taking the right steps, and same thing with Mixer and all those other streaming services. They're becoming so big that it's going to get there one day. We just got to figure it out. We got to figure out how to do things a little better, especially stuff like this. Like the tournament was called Beast 7, and I guess it was by the Beast 7 family or whatever, or Beast.
Beast 7, yeah.
Who's heard of Beast? No one.
Not me.
No one really. So of course there's going to be these sketchy tournaments that are put on where people are trying to get their name out. Oh, they trusted the wrong employee that maybe sweet talked his way into something, and he was bad with the money. That's what he's saying right now. They're saying a staffer from Beast is talking about what happened and said that Lolex, who put on the tournament, his financial strategy was just non-existent. He didn't have one, and he pretty much was going into the tournament blind.
Yeah, and it said like he'd not responded to his emails since April, and the rest of the Beast tournament organizers had told him not to post anything about Lolex until their official statement. Yeah.
So
Jesus Christ.
It's really sad because you know what? You can't make a living playing in tournaments for like these are the top
Smash Brothers players.
Brothers players. And you know what? I think the top player in the world, I don't know. I heard this again, guys. I didn't do research, but I heard the top player makes a living with the tournaments and stuff. I'm sure the other two do really well on Twitch. If they're not on Twitch, they're mistaken, but they can't make a living with just the prize pool money.
No, yeah,
only
you need to definitely
top player.
Have a following, get tips, get all this shit, subscribers and shit. Yeah, for sure. You gotta be the best in the world right now to actually make the living.
So you can tell that, to be the best at something, the top 10 in something in the world, especially that's as popular as Smash,
yep.
You have to dedicate your life to it. So these people that don't make much money, that $1,000 they won could really, really help them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's not even a month's rent some places.
Yeah. So I get why they're ticked off. I don't know why it wasn't brought up a little sooner.
You're right though. This is almost like like little league tournaments, basically being sketchy and not like handing out prizes or something at this point.
Yeah,
like with where we are in esports.
Yeah, exactly. I see it as like pool tournaments or something. You know what I mean? Like ooh, the underground. But it's going to get better. I hope that people now know that no one's going to let them off the hook anymore. I hope that people stay on this. I hope people don't just go to Beast and destroy them like they probably are right now.
Yeah.
And no, it was probably just a mistake. They're a young company, I'm sure. I'm not apologizing for them, but I'm sure they still don't know what they're doing, and they want to do this stuff for the community. They think it's good for them, and it's good for the players. They just trusted the wrong person.
Yep. And that happens, and there's growing pains with any industry, right? So, and here's one, and you gotta make mistakes to learn from it, and we're so early on in this like baby of esports thing, so there's still time to make right.
Do you think Capcom can make right?
I'm hoping so. I know this is a story that you don't really want to talk about.
It's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's just I don't know anything about it or the series. So please go off on a tangent about it.
So Breath of Fire is one of my favorite RPG series of all time. I played 1, 2, 3, and 4 when I was a kid. Really loved them. They had great sprite work and just cool worlds. It's great characters. I don't know, like in Breath of Fire 3, you were Ryu in all of them, but you could combine dragon genes to become like different dragons. So you could do like the fire element and a bone element and become this like hell dragon and stuff. Really cool stuff. I still love JRPGs.
You're talking about the one I've played. And I love.
Cool. Yes, it's so good.
I loved Breath of Fire 3. I spent hours fishing in Breath of Fire 3. Hours.
I know. Oh my god.
It's Breath of Fire 3 is when I was a kid, guys, after Final Fantasy 7 came out, I was pretty much just an RPGer. I would honestly say it goes Xenogears for the best RPG ever. Aside from, the story kind of poo-poos at the end, but I really liked the game. I really liked the gameplay. The mechs were cool, and then it goes Breath of Fire 3. It was just so much fun.
It really was. Such a cool world. cool like characters, and yeah, the battle system was unparalleled at that point. I just thought it was so much fun. So anyways, I love Breath of Fire, but it kind of died a slow death. It had one PS2 release with something called Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter, which was Breath of Fire 5, and it was quite a jump from what Breath of Fire had been. It was this game where, like, when you died, you had to go back to the beginning of the game, but you retained your level and stuff. It was like a really early roguelike, actually. And it just didn't hit a lot of people the right way. It didn't sell well, and Breath of Fire died for many years. Then, I think about... maybe this might have been as early as last year. Breath of Fire 6 got announced, and it was a mobile game. And it was one of those, like, really overly anime-looking, like, mobile games, and it just had a stupid battle system. Nothing really that any Breath of Fire fan would want to play or look at, really. And
now, did they go to tactical? Like, no, wait, what series am I thinking that's tactical? It's like Breath of Fire.
Final Fantasy Tactics?
No. I'm sorry. Anyways, but what I wanted to get to was, what was the gameplay like of Breath of Fire 6? Was it RPG style, like walking, you get into battles, or was it like real time?
It was like MMO type battles. Like,
okay, yeah.
A lot of like bars and waiting and just shit like that, and like it was kind of like tactical looking, I guess, but it was just no one really liked it, and I can understand why. And it just kind of looked like, if you saw it, you'd be like, oh, that looks like a free to play MMO on a handheld. Like, it had nothing Breath of Fire like about it. And now it's finally getting canceled, kind of like they're closing the servers. You're not gonna be able to play it anymore. And I just hate this kind of thing, because when you really like a franchise and want to see it do well, like, I don't know what is best for Breath of Fire at this point. Would it have been good if this was a great success and the Breath of Fire name was out there again? Or would that mean we would just get Breath of Fire 7 being the same weird MMO type thing? Or is it better for this to fail, and now in 5 years they can try to reboot Breath of Fire as an actual RPG?
I could already tell you that they were so wrong with this game. Who makes a mobile game one of their numbered versions?
I know, I always hate that. Even Final Fantasy XI, which I know people love, it should have just been called, like, Final Fantasy Online.
Yeah, I think that was a misplay on their part. Like, they're already thinking, like... Because to have a numbered version, Breath of Fire is a huge name, guys. If you guys haven't played them,
I don't think it's a huge name anymore, though. That's the thing.
I think with the geek community and nerd community, I think it is. I think everyone kind of heard of Breath of Fire.
I don't know. I feel like it's one of those. I feel like it's one of those more obscure ones. Like, I don't think it's as big as a Final Fantasy or. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't expect someone who was a casual gamer in the PlayStation days to necessarily have heard of Breath of Fire if I brought it up in a conversation.
Right into the show, you guys. I want to know. Do you guys do emails?
Yes, we do.
Yeah? Okay, what's the email address?
Email address is meetpensandpixels@gmail.com.
And go on there and tell them how right I am about, yeah, we've heard of it, never played them, but we've heard the name. Or tell me I'm an idiot.
I think if you're hardcore enough to listen to a podcast that has like 100 listeners max, I think that you are you're probably in the know about Breath of Fire. I assume all of our listeners do.
I thought this was for your personal records. I didn't know this was going to people.
Yeah, we just do it every week just to hold on to.
Just in case. You never know.
Never know what I thought that week. Anyways, I just would really like to see Breath of Fire again, and I don't know if the success or failure of this game is for the better. I honestly just don't think we're going to see Breath of Fire again for many, many years.
No, you know what? We're not going to see a lot of Breath of Fire. I totally agree with that. We're not going to. But we're going to see is so many remasters of titles now, thanks to Crash Bandicoot.
Thanks to Crash Bandicoot. Specifically remasters of old IP like Crash Bandicoot. Activision recently had a financial call, and they said that Crash has surpassed our wildest expectations, and they're looking at other classic IP to remaster in the same fashion. I also want to use this segment to shit on my co-host Mike a little bit. We've been talking about how Crash has been killing it in sales, surprisingly, for the last 3 weeks probably, just because he's done so well. It was the #1 selling game in June with only 2 days on the market. Like just crazy numbers for this
It's
thing.
a juggernaut.
And I didn't think people liked Crash that much. I mean, I knew they loved him. You know, I knew they loved Crash, but he's not on the scale of like Mario to me, where like so many people buy this game. And Mike was sitting back, like arms crossed, like no, like my sister likes it. I knew that it would sell this well. And Crash is, and like Activision's own like fucking CEO is like, this passed our wildest expectations. We had no idea that Crash was this popular. Like, and if you know 3 people anecdotally that likes Crash, doesn't mean that you knew it was going to sell this well. It is beyond crazy how well it's doing. And I would love to see some Spyro, and I think we're going to get it.
See, I wasn't a Spyro guy. I was a Crash boy. I liked Crash.
Oh, you were a Crash boy. I was Spyro boy.
No, I liked Crash. I thought it was really fun platforming. I especially liked Crash Team Racing. That's what I'm excited for. You know what? Screw Spyro, dude. Come on.
No. I'm a Crash. I like Crash. Racing. I like Crash too. I think what's going to happen now is they're going to get another team to go do Spyro, and I think the Crash boys, the ones who remastered this one, are probably going to be doing Crash Team Racing. There have been some hints to remastering that.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably going to get to do like a real ass like Crash Bandicoot 4. Which would be sick.
Yeah, that's what's good about this, you guys, is if you're supporting, you know, this Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and you support Spyro, their trilogy, you know, their remaster, it's good because then they're going to come out with new ones. You know, if you don't think Crash Bandicoot's coming out with a new game and they're thinking about it now,
oh yeah,
they're 100% in the drawing phase of like, what's it going to be about? What's it going to be like?
I think it'd be, you know, best for them to stay within this whole like classic Crash. Like, don't make this a AAA like open world Crash Bandicoot game by any means. Make this like what the sequel would have been back in the PlayStation days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they'll have some great ideas, some good spins. It doesn't need graphics. That's what I love about stuff, especially nowadays, you guys, is some of the most popular games, as you can see with Terraria being the top 10,
yeah.
You don't need graphics. You just need good gameplay. So if you have fun gameplay and good tweaks and different ideas, like, oh, you know what, this would be cool now, you know, and I think that's all it needs to be.
Absolutely.
You're
one of my
exactly
favorite.
right on that. You're exactly right. It'll save them money. It'll save them headaches and bugs.
Yeah, just, you know, have it like Crash. The remastered Crash trilogy looks good enough. Keep in that vein and make one like that. Do not like tamper with it too much. People like this formula clearly. Like even Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight is a game that could have been made in like the 8-bit Nintendo era. And
So good.
It was so good. It was one of my favorite games that year. So yeah,
I'm curious though with you. Sorry, the one thing I wanted to ask you was, okay, Crash. Okay, they did it. Successful. Okay.
Yep.
Next on the board is definitely Spyro. And
Yep.
if all the fanboys need confirmation, stop. You know they're doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Just relax. It's going to come out. Like it is. It's going to be there very shortly. But what other than that?
What do they have?
Jak and Daxter?
So Jak and Daxter, that's not Activision, that's Sony, but
okay.
Like Sony owns the rights to it. But I think we could probably see a remaster of Jak and Daxter for sure.
Like anyone that has these Sprite games are going to look at this, right? That's the thing.
I think that's the thing. I don't think it's only Activision looking at this now. I think everyone's going to like look back at their catalog and be like, what could we bring out that's old and like people had a lot of fervor for? As far as mascot-driven games go, do you remember Croc?
Yeah, I remember that.
Maybe Croc. Like, I don't fucking know.
What was the lizard one that was like, he was like a 007 agent?
Oh, Gex. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Gex went into like movies and shit, right? Like he went into like, he had a bunch of like movie references and quotes.
Yeah, he retired with Geico.
Yes, he did. That's where that boy ended up.
He smokes a pack a day now, and he's just like, goddamn Geico commercials.
I think he had a sexy lady woman too with him in those commercials, or in those games actually, a human woman, which always struck me as strange. But
I've never been in those games. Like I've loved Crash,
yeah.
But other than that, honestly, I'm trying to think of like those jumpy platformers that came out. Like obviously Donkey Kong and games.
The thing
like
is,
that.
yeah, those ones are all Nintendo games. The ones that I'm thinking of, and like Nintendo has kept them alive. They're still coming out with new games. There's not much else like Crash aside from Spyro, and like maybe to a lesser extent Ratchet and Clank. But again, Ratchet and Clank still exists.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank, or what was the other one? It starts with a P. They wanted to redo Planet Knots or...
Oh, Psychonauts?
Psychonauts, yeah. Like, I never got into those games. I never got into those, like, cartoony-looking platformers and stuff. I don't know why, but Crash Bandicoot, if I did have a PS4, I'd be all over it. Over it.
I'm still waiting to pick it up. I'm probably going to wait until it goes down even further in price, but it's something I have my eye on.
At least you know it's going to go down in price, right? And it'll be a great pickup for $20-$30. It'll be a great pickup for $20-$30.
I think it's actually $40 right now. Like, it came out at $40, so which is already pretty good.
Smart. They are smart to do that. They
are smart indeed. And that wraps up the news for this week. Geekseh, thank you so much for filling in and saving our ass this week.
Oh, anytime. I'm going to talk to you guys about... I want to say it here, you guys. I am a nerd. I'm a huge video game nerd, you guys. I want to do maybe a top 5 or a top 10 end of this year list of best games of this year.
Well, I don't want to like blow my load on plans too much, but I was considering, now that we've had some guests on and some people we've interviewed, I kind of want to bring on like and do. Have you seen Giant Bomb? What they do at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Everyone they have a bunch of their friends have their different top 10 lists of the year and shit. I'm kind of like trying to organize something like that.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Like, we're in a room, like it's pretty much like us on one conference call arguing the list instead of what our own list is.
We could even do that. I was thinking individually. Wow. Like either I bring you on and we talk about your top 10 list, or you make a list for us and we post it somewhere. I would prefer the podcast, I think.
Yeah, podcasts. We'll talk. But I think it would be funnier is if you get like 4 or 5 of us. We will be talking over each other, but 4 or 5 of us to argue what place all these games should go would be pretty funny.
I bet it'll be a lot of like, well, I haven't played that, so no.
Yeah. It will be, which is
like you'll be all into PUBG. Like Mike will be into fucking Mass Effect, and I'll be into like Zelda Breath of the Wild or something.
Oh yeah, I forgot Breath of the Wild.
It's very good. I've been playing it.
Yeah, I heard it's unbelievable. But you know what? You're so welcome, man. I am always excited to come on this podcast. You guys are great. It's always a lot of fun every week.
I know. I'm glad you could save our ass this week. How about you do a plug? Where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, perfect, guys. You can find me on twitch.tv/Geekseh.
And also, how do you spell that? How do you spell Geekseh?
Geekseh is Geeksheh. Get it? Geekseh? I'm Canadian.
Geekseh?
Yeah. So, Geekseh. Also, you can find... I have a YouTube channel. It is smaller, but it is a lot of fun. It's highlights and some other stuff. And I go again by Geekseh on YouTube. And on Twitter, I'm Geekseh, but with 2 H's. That one's confusing. I need to go after the guy that has just Geekseh. He's a squatter. We need to get rid of him.
It's super annoying. We have the exact same problem with
what's going to happen,
several of our accounts.
This is going to be like the first story. I tell everyone that I need that account, and now everyone's going to go threaten him. The internet is an awful, amazing place.
We just brought it full circle. If you want to find me on the internet, I am on Twitter at @theCalG. I just wanted to say you can go find Mike at MikeCan'tDraws, but he's not here this week, so don't follow him. If anything, unfollow him. And you can find Pens and Pixels across all social medias. Pick your poison. We are on Tumblr for some reason. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And we update them all with a bunch of fun news stories that possibly we talk about in the next podcast. So you can get a little leap on us if you want. And that'll be it. That'll be it for the Pens and Pixels podcast. Geekseh, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, stay juicy, everybody.
Juicy.